Hello and welcome to the Growth Mindset Psychology Podcast with me, Sam Webster Harris, as we dive into the wonderful science of self-improvement. Every episode, I bring the best insights I can from neuroscience, psychology, and philosophy to create a much deeper understanding of ourselves, what it means to have and live with a growth mindset beyond the surface level definitions, as always with the goal to help you build on your own terms something that you can define as a life well lived. Today, I am treating you to a favourite episode from the archives recorded exactly 2 years ago whilst I was cycling around Europe for a few months. It is on the topic of our environments, and I speak about some of the most useful and lesser known ideas from productivity with what I have found to be very practical benefits for increasing your creativity or focus, depending on which one you need to be channeling, as well as ideas to help reduce our tendency to get caught up in the wrong things and help overcome the somewhat frustrating phenomenon of tripping over the same problems that we feel we should be able to logic ourselves out of and yet can't. The struggle is very real, trust me, but hopefully stepping back outside of your internal environment and examining your external one can help give a few insights. I would just like to remind you that this was recorded 2 years ago, so any references to personal things I happen to be working on or doing at the time are, of course, 2 years old. Right now, today, I am personally working away on getting a premium feed set up, which will launch next week for ad-free listening with a Discord community and access to an Ask Me Anything board with unlimited questions that you may want to fire at me. Why am I doing this? Well, incredibly, some real humans on the planet have actually asked to pay me for my content, which does blow my mind. So thank you so much for asking, and it is my pleasure to be sorting that out for you and to start building a real community as I grow the show and go full time on this project. As always, if you do want to support the show, you can help by subscribing, sharing episodes with friends, leaving a nice review, or sending me any personal feedback, be that good or bad. And with that, on to this gem of an episode from the archives. Our actions are the result of our internal drive and our external stimulus. If you want to be more productive, more creative, more positive, there are choices that you can make about your environment to help you do just that. In biology, we talk about genetic versus environmental factors and how these affect how a person turns out. And it's the same with psychology for our actions. Combine who you are, how you think with where you are, and that will determine what you will do. Our thinking styles reflect our environment much more than we realize. So if you're into self-improvement, that inevitably means you're into environment improvement as well. Now, there are many best practices. I'm going to assume that you've heard the basics. Turn off your notifications, don't answer your email first thing in the morning, don't have your phone in the bed. However, in this episode, I will cover some of the things you might not have heard about that genuinely have a massive impact, and they've really, really helped me. Hello and welcome to the Growth Mindset Podcast. Our quote to set us up for the day is from Peter Drucker. If you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. And yes, it is all about priorities. If you want to make room for something new, you have to give up something old. If you're taking in new routines, you're going to have to identify the current routines that you're replacing and stop doing them. Today, I'm going to teach you about 3 important experiments that have shown insights on how we think and how you can get the benefits from them. If you've been listening to this season so far, I've been on a theme of getting yourself to do stuff. We started with the first episode on the difference between dreaming and doing, and last week I covered the limits that are in your minds. So this week we're going into environments, and actually this is a very close to home topic for me because I have ADHD and I love to start a million and one things, but getting anything done is a very different matter. As such, I've become pretty obsessed with anything that affects or upsets my productivity. I've tried medication and it certainly helps a little bit, but even the strongest medication still won't do anything to fix a bad environment. And I learned that the real world has a much bigger impact on what your brain does than any chemicals. So whether you have more neurodiversity than a tropical rainforest, or if you're not even on any spectrum at all, you can absolutely level up your game for free. So let's crack into it. Effect 1 is the Cathedral Effect. This is a phenomenon related to the styles of thinking demonstrated when you are in a cathedral or actually any building that has a high ceiling. Experimenters found that test subjects in a high-ceilinged location found it much easier to complete creative tasks that required expansive thinking. However, the opposite effect was shown in low-ceiling rooms where test subjects found it much easier to just concentrate on simple tasks and complete dull work. And that's great to know because you can understand your own work habits and do something about them. If you want to think big, go big. If you're doing writing, want to flex your creative muscles or something like that, then give yourself some room to think. And if you don't have a handy cathedral, just try going outdoors or a roomy cafe or a library or a co-working space that is spacious. If you want to put your head down and get some admin done, then try working in a basement or a cupboard or rent an apartment in London. You can also try working in a corner of a cafe to just limit the expansive feelings in front of you, or maybe getting like a smaller phone room inside a co-working space. And I found this super useful. So when I'm writing, going to like a park bench or an open cafe, it really gets creative ideas flowing. And I'm just naturally more open to tangential thinking and seeing things from new perspectives. Equally, if I need to get admin done, it's nice to go out the house, but sitting in the corner of a small cafe or booking a small room in a co-working space makes it feel more closed in and just it reduces the amount of extra like unhelpful thinking that goes on that I just don't need. Also, a lot of people like listening to music or something when they're working, and binaural beats or chill out music. Music without words is generally much better than things that have something where you actually might end up thinking about the lyrics. Some people listen to the same song on repeat, which is something that I don't do, but I really like the Studio Ghibli Cafe Music album, which I pretty much listen to on repeat, and it's like the same album endlessly, and I just go like into work mode. This is a complete tangent to the main Cathedral Effect. People have their different preferences with music. It is just handy to think about what you're doing there. Anyway, the point is, go to expansive places to think expansively, go to more closed-in places to think in a more closed-in environment, and that is your hack. Now, number 2, the movement effect. Moving our bodies creates a movement effect that also transcends into our thinking. The constant feeling of progression can make us feel less blocked or anxious. So, in general, if you're having a crap day, just going for a walk is genuinely a positivity boost. And it can be used for much more than that. If you want to do specific problem solving, then adding in some movement makes it easier because we feel less inhibited or stuck. Because when our bodies are moving, this goes subliminally into our consciousness and we feel that our situation is also moving. We have a sense of momentum and our goals aren't blocked, they're not behind a wall, and we don't feel personally static. We feel like we're moving towards them. Now, this is a great tool you can use to have more productive conversations. For example, Steve Jobs always used to have meetings whilst he was walking, and walking is a great way to have your meeting because your conversations can be more productive. It's a great time to also try tackling difficult conversations with a partner or colleague because solutions don't seem so overwhelmingly far away when you're walking. You can be open to things that might need some consistent work to make some consistent progress. So talk about it whilst walking and it becomes easier. If you want to make some time and space to think about big life plans, go for a run. It's the best time to do it. It just gets you away from other things. And whilst you're doing running or other fast exercise like cycling, swimming, rollerblading, skiing, things that have a bit of speed, but not so much that you're going to be having accidents, these are the sorts of exercise that make you more ambitious. You have a faster sense of movement and just, stick away from things that are too distracting or team sports where you're too involved with what's going on. Rock climbing or mountain biking are too dangerous for life planning, and you'll probably want to be more focused in the moment with life preservation than life planning. However, running, swimming, rollerblading, etc., great way to give yourself some space where you'll have more ambitious plans and you'll actually come up with useful solutions to your problems. It just gives you some great alone time as well, all at the same time. Whereas if you try and make time and space to sort of think about what you're doing, I can find it much harder to do like sat at a desk. And it's stupid when you can just go for a run, it's healthy, and you get to much better productivity from it at the same time. So to help you with this, you might want to actually write down some questions to think about whilst you are doing some exercise beforehand. Try to put some time and space in between things like distracting yourself with podcasts and stuff to actually hit pause and think about some of the things you need to think about. Otherwise, you can kind of miss the opportunity that's there. So when I listen to a podcast, that's usually when I go for a run, but then I'll hit stop for a while and I'll think about things as well. And it's just the perfect balance for me. I think reading about this study and the effect made me realize one of the reasons why I love exercise so much is that I do love thinking, and exercise is a great way to spend time in your mind alone and have more positive ideas. Also, it's important to remember that exercise also helps you stay healthy, which again helps you think healthy. So it's even more reason to perhaps consider investing in like a cycling desk or a walking desk, which might sound like a really big luxury, but your mind and body perhaps deserve it. And I'm totally going to one day get one when I'm not being a nomad and actually live somewhere. But for now, I'm outdoors a lot anyway because I'm going around the world. And another benefit, of course, is that if you're going outdoors for your exercise, then that's going to give you more vitamin D and daylight exposure. And there's no ceilings outdoors. So again, you're open to creative brainwaves as already discussed. So now let's move on to the final one, which is my favorite. And I am very sorry to be that guy leaving you on a cliffhanger, but we do need to have a quick short break first, which you are, of course, welcome to skip. But currently it is only the advertisers that are keeping the lights on here at the show. So if you do hear about any products you like, then for now, buying them is what keeps the show alive. Steve Jobs once famously said that design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. I've had my Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 for a while now, and I have to say, it is one of the best designed things I've owned. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it feels really good to hold. But most importantly, it works so well. I've never been so consistently well shaved in my life because it's so enjoyable and easy to keep everything in trim. You can take it in the shower, it has a light to see what you're doing, the trimmer blades have skin-safe technology so you can feel confident putting it anywhere. So if you could take better care of your body and face hair situation, Manscaped are offering listeners of the show free international shipping and 20% off your order with promo code GROWTH at manscaped.com/growth. Even if you are a customer already, you can grab 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/growth. Links are in the description. Thank you for bearing with us. And now on to our final strategy. It's going to be super challenging, but it's also the most rewarding life hack that I think you can do out of these. Intentional laptopping. Now, what the hell is intentional laptopping? If you hadn't heard of this, it's a game changer. And I'm sure you know that having a room full of clutter is distracting. Well, it's no surprise that it's the same on your laptop. A spring clean of all of your folder systems, etc. That will make your work smoother. It'll reduce wasted time and energy navigating your laptop, but you can go much, much further in the pursuit of finding workflow. Intentional laptopping is where you only use your laptop with purpose. You work on one task at a time with nothing else open on your laptop at all. That means you close every single tab and all other programs except the one program that you need to be working on. And if you want to save some tabs, there's extensions like Too Many Tabs or Toby, which can be good for saving for specific sessions, but you'll probably find that most of your tabs you don't even come back to anyway, and you're just using them as a crap to-do list, and it's kind of dumb. You should even keep your Wi-Fi off until it becomes essential and only use Wi-Fi with purpose to find or send the thing that you need to do. And because you've closed all your tabs, that means when you do log in, you're not going to get lost in a million other things to use the internet for. Obviously, you need the Wi-Fi on for answering email or doing specific research things, but before you start doing those things, make sure that you know that this is your one task that you're going to be doing for the next half an hour and give yourself a time limit. And then that prevents you from going off into new extra distractions and just losing half of your day. And then finally, at the end of each day, turn your laptop off completely, and the shutdown button actually does exist, and there's nothing to be scared about when you're using it. Your computer will run faster when it's clean and that you don't have a million programs open all the time. Now, from a technical perspective, this is very easy to just go and do, but from an actual realities perspective, it can be quite hard for people. But it's so beneficial when you're using all your tabs as to-do lists, you're getting in your own way. And by following the intentional laptopping principle, it forces you to do other good habits that we know we should do, like having a clear set of priorities and only working on the most important thing before we let ourselves get sucked into email or communications. So honestly, I only know a few people that actually do this, but they are some of the most amazing people that I know. And I'm really in awe of how clear their thinking is and how productive they are. And the first time I was with my friend who did this was like 4 years ago. I was really shocked. I saw him turn his laptop on each morning. I was like, what were you doing before? And he just had this completely clean, nothing there. And he just used the one program that we used to do some coding together. And then he turned his laptop off. And I was like, what the is going on? And it took me a while to work out how sensible that was. And it seems pretty dumb now, but as the wise gold medal Olympian Ben Hunt Davis said, common sense isn't common practice. And it really isn't. I don't know many people that do this, but once I saw people doing it, my mind was like, holy crap, this is so obvious. And every time I see people that have a complete mess of a laptop, I'm like, oh my God, you're really ruining your whole ability to do stuff. And literally everyone has a mess of a laptop and they're like, oh yeah, sorry for all the clutter. And you're like, yeah, but it's really bad. When you think about it, it's just dumb. And imagine if you had crap all over your room and you're like, oh yeah, I can find my socks more easily if they're just on the floor along with all my other clothes. Like, why would I put them away? And we know that's not helpful. And it's the same with your laptop. Put the things away and make sure it's clean. Okay, and just a few bonus tips now on the subject of laptops and using them with intention. You can force yourself to have time limits on your work by taking your laptop to a cafe or somewhere out of the house without taking your charger. This forces you to get your task done before you run out of battery. And it's a really nice hack. Another one is to not use your laptop for reading. So if you have a Kindle, use that for reading books, obviously, but also you can send papers and PDFs of things, or actually buy real books, of course, or print off for your papers and research that you have to do. And then you go spend some alone time without distraction reading the thing, and you're not on your device, which is your laptop, where you just have lots of other potential work you could be doing. And it just feels like a much nicer thing to go outside and read some things for yourself. So that's a great one. And then also pair working. So this is a thing that's done a lot in software development, where you do pair programming, which is actually how I found out about my first friend that did the intentional laptopping, was programming with him. And he is one of the best programmers I know, by the way. But anyway, what they do is they get two people to work together on writing some code. And that forces them to work on just that, because if you're not exactly going to go off on distractions and do other things or be checking your phones whilst you're working with someone else, but you're making the thing happen. And you can do this for other tasks as well when you're trying to do stuff. So I'm against having lots of meetings for no reason. But if you sit down to tackle a specific task with someone else, it can be really rewarding and you get to see other people's viewpoints and you eliminate distractions. It's great for writing pitch decks or grant proposals or anything that involves a lot of decisions on what needs to be put into something. Questionnaires, designs, landing page copy. I don't know what it is that you do in your personal work, but there's lots of things that are actually kind of easier to do with someone else. And when you do it by yourself, there'll often be bits that are a bit hard and you'll be like, oh, I'll just take a quick break for 5 minutes just to kind of do something else because I haven't quite worked out how to fix this problem, and it'll turn into half an hour and you'll procrastinate. But it just doesn't happen at all when you're working with someone else and you're like, oh, we just need to fix this thing. Well, you just problem solve really quickly and things just happen, and it's really amazing if you've not done this before. Okay, so all of these things do sound quite simple, but it's surprising that most people don't use any of them to improve their environment. And for me, acknowledging how sensitive that I am to my environment and treating myself like a child sometimes is genuinely an act of self-love. And it's much more rewarding than just expecting myself to do things and then failing repeatedly. So remember, your thought processes replicate your environment. I'd actually encourage you to get kind of metaphorical with this, because if you want your thoughts to flow like a river, move to a river. If you want to feel on top of the world, live on a mountain. And in the last episodes, we've gone into how to pursue your dreams and make them happen with intention and removing our blockers. And Environment is now the next logical stage that you really should be thinking about. Next week, we're going to go into the surface of how other people affect you and who you should or shouldn't be spending time with and why. And on a personal update, I have been taking these things seriously, and I'm actually on a cycle tour around Europe for a while to spend more time outdoors and thinking creatively, where I can only use my laptop for very short amounts of time with intention and focus because I don't have much battery or internet. So I'm expecting some more writing, which has been happening quite well so far. And on that note, I hope you listen next week to learn more about how people affect you, and have a fantastic week. Remember that growth is all about consistency and persistency. And if you want to enjoy your life, it starts by enjoying today. Thank you so much for listening.
Go you!
Your consistency to reach the end of an episode is legendary.
My hero!
But when we learn things, it's important to reflect. So I politely invite you to take a pause, rifle through the biggest ideas you just heard. So here's your opportunity to hit pause and have a think. Okay, did you wrestle with some insights? Information doesn't stick when we race from one podcast to the next without using our brain to play with the knowledge. So here's another go at a pause. Alrighty, I'll let you off to continue with your life now. If you have any ideas or feedback for the show, I'm always interested to hear from you.
You're the best!
And other than that, please stay curious. Curious. Quote. Smiling for no reason.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I hope to open the conversation about working parents a bit. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier, to find out how they balance being a dad with a successful career. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.